Good morning, everybody. I have my cheat sheet here so that I don't tell you any stupid things. Maybe one question before we start off. Who in the audience is actually an exhibitor here in the hall? No one. That's good. So I won't be boring you. That's great. Most of the exhibitors obviously would know what we're talking about. So I will talk a little bit about our connected products cloud, Atma.io, and how an everyday item, a physical item, paired with a digital ID can actually unlock some new opportunities, both for your businesses, your business processes, and maybe also generating some interesting new opportunities interacting with customers. So we all know that there are a lot of gadgets that we already use in our daily lives, be it in the car, be it on our smartphones, be it on home appliances, where we use digital advantages connecting to the internet. But what if everyday items at your home, at your work, or anywhere that you travel would be connected to the internet, would be digitized? What would you do with these digital identities? What would these products tell you? What would they say? And why would they say something? And why would you want them to say anything? So that is a question that I want to dig into today. You might know that already for some items from clothing. If you're going into a store, they usually have hang tags, and you take it to the cashier, and the cashier pulls the hang tag over the counter, then usually automatically the price of the item pops up, and what you don't see, but maybe you know it, the system automatically then tells the store manager that this item has been sold and that it maybe needs to be replaced into the hanger that you took it off, so that the next customer can buy the same item, same color, same size. So that is just one of a very few things that a product can do when it's been digitized. So I brought you a small, I would say example. I'll show it to you in a second. So if you use your smartphones, and if you have the opportunity to actually scan that QR code, then a small demo would pop up on your smartphone. That demo, actually, we called it the paracetamol demo. So maybe because some of us went out last night and drank too much and potentially have a small headache. So that might be the reason for that. I'll ask Markom afterwards why we took this as an example. So anyhow, imagine this product being your product. You've attached a digital identity to it, and how that works, I'll come to that in a later stage of the presentation. And basically what you can do is put this item, this box of paracetamol tablets, come alive. So you would read the digital identity. It would open, for example, on your smartphone, I have it here, this type of representation. You could authenticate the product, and if you have it on your smartphone, you can really check the authenticity button, and it would tell you that it's an authentic product. So Bayer Leverkusen has produced it, so it's an original. You could see when it was produced, you could see the batch number, you could see even the purchase order within the company. It would give you details of what the product is for. So obviously headache after a tremendous party at the wireless and RFID tomorrow. And it would also tell you, for example, if you wish that to be seen by a customer or the pharmacist who is buying it, when it was produced, when it was then shipped from, where was it produced? In Mumbai, India. So it was then shipped into Germany. From Germany, it was then further expedited to Spain. And then at some point in time, the pharmacist in Spain received the goods. And because we're living in times where the CO2 footprint is an interesting thing, what we've added into this one is also how much of CO2 footprint did that transportation, for example, cause, taking this box of paracetamol from A to B. So that is just one of the many things that you can do. And this is something that you can offer to your customer. It's a customer experience. The customer learns more about the product, learns more about the product's journey, and also gives the customer the feeling of not having spent its money on something that is fake, understanding that the product is authentic, and having a good feeling about having been buying this product. This is just one example of what you might be doing, pairing your physical item with a digital identity. But what more could you do? So imagine there's a vaccine that you're producing and maybe distributing to hospitals, distributing to pharmacists, doctors all over the place. You could, if you had an active temperature logger as an example, log and monitor the temperature of the cold chain throughout the entire journey of the product. So when the product arrives at the pharmacy, the pharmacist could actually see whether at any point in time from manufacturing and delivery throughout to his pharmacy, the temperature levels have always been all right, protecting the quality of the product and making sure that the product has always been transported at the right temperature. It would always also tell you if that was not the case. So you could put an alert telling the owner of the product or the forwarder of the product that there is an issue with the temperature, for example, in a truck or in a warehouse or even within the pharmacy. So you could make sure that you put the temperature in the right place. But not only that, what if the vaccine is being used? You vaccinate a patient. You could use the digital trigger to actually also get the vaccination certificate over to your patient or, for example, to a hospital's records. So how do we create a digital identity for a product? What is a digital identity of a physical product? Anyway, we talked about a box of paracetamol. Let's stay with that example, even though here you see a piece of meat, so that works for food items as well, of course, and it works for fashion items, basically any physical item that you can think about of decent value and decent size to actually apply a digital identity. Basically, it's very simple. In the hall behind me, you have many, of course, ourselves as well, exhibitors dealing with digital ID products, be it RFID, be it low energy Bluetooth, be it just standard QR codes, barcodes, etc. So what you need to do is to apply one of those digital triggers, as we call it, an RFID inlay, a barcode inlay, a Bluetooth inlay on a physical item. You have to give that trigger, that label, a unique digital ID, which can be an RFID EPC or a certain unique web address only attached to this trigger, and this trigger only being attached to this one unique product. And that would then give you that digital twin to your physical product. So you marry the digital identity with your product, which is a unique combination existing on this planet only once. And taking that physical product, giving it the digital identity, and then pulling it up onto our cloud solution, Atma.io, basically then gives you the opportunity to fully unlock the opportunity to have, for example, end-to-end visibility, real-time monitoring throughout the entire journey in the supply chain. And by doing so, you can, of course, work on improving your processes. You can work on maybe finding processes to reduce waste production. And by doing so, it also enables you, for example, to step into a circular economy at some point in time. I'm not talking about increasing efficiencies in production, in logistics, and other areas of the business. Of course, especially in these times where costs are soaring and raising through the roof, we all are looking at improving efficiencies and potentials for saving money, this being one of them. Now, how do we do that? We, as Avery Dennison, of course, are a company who have been in this business for quite a while now, and therefore also have a range of products that you can use. Starting off from the very, very known and actually being used since decades, barcodes or QR code type of products, but we also have a full range of standard RAIN UHF products, inlays, tags of all sizes and nature. Same applies for NFC and HF products. And also just recently started into venturing around passive Bluetooth-based products with our partner Wiliot. And of course, we have sensor products in our portfolio. You see the printed electronics, that's the next step, so that's something we're working on. We don't have it in our portfolio for sales yet, but certainly something we're looking at providing to the market in the near future. So our digital ID technologies we consider being a progressive family, which is very, very flexible for many use cases. We're totally industry agnostic, so we're not stuck to pharma and healthcare or fashion only. We're in automotive industry, we're in whiteware, we're in kitchen manufacturing. You know what, we're kind of everywhere. So our products give you the flexibility to actually work in any industry, very adaptive range of products, and we keep expanding it and also looking at always new technologies for you to venture into new business opportunities. Good. How does Atma actually work? It's basically very, very easy. The digital trigger, be it a QR code, be it an RFID tag, be it a low-energy Bluetooth tag, actually is being read in the field. Field is anything. Could be a shop, could be a warehouse, could be a grocery store. And in this field, you have applications, usually hardware, so some type of reader infrastructure. I see Impinj sitting here, so Impinj antennas, for example, or readers from any other manufacturer in the market, and antennas also from your competition, sorry to say. But also, as I demonstrated, if you talk about Bluetooth or if you talk about NFC, your smart devices, your smartphones, your laptops, your tablets, whatever you have that are capable of reading such a trigger. So they read the data. The equipment usually has some type of a firmware or a software behind that masters the data. The data is then being transferred into our cloud, and then our cloud actually captures the data, and from there on, there are hundreds of different applications that you could be running, either on our cloud or just using our cloud as a data repository and using your own applications connected to our cloud. So what could you do? Looking at the product, as I told you, you could do an item level end-to-end traceability from manufacturing to the store where it's being sold, or your warehouse where you then use it for your production. You could use it in the supply chain to have real-time data insights and analytics all through the journey. The example of the vaccine, understanding whether the temperature is being kept on the right level throughout the journey of the product, as an example. Systems. Usually you have different systems that you're using. You have an ERP system, you have a manufacturing system, you have a warehouse management system. So all those systems could pull data out of that repository from our data platform, making it an interoperable platform throughout a range of systems. And maybe interesting to mention at this point is that we just recently closed a partnership with SAP, and especially for their analytics cloud. So they are using Atma to then further process the data that they get out of those digital triggers and to use that further in their SAP environment. So analytics cloud of SAP, and then whatever they do with that data and further process it through the ERP system, through the warehouse management, production planning, whatever that is. So that just as a side note. And then the consumer, at the very beginning, the example with the paracetamol. You could do this not only for, of course, a medication product, you could do that also for, a food item. You know, if you have a special offering, you know, taking maybe for a week, think of Nutella, and you open the Nutella glass, and maybe on top of this glass you have a digital trigger, and it allows you as the consumer to maybe tap it. Let's say it's an NFC tag, You tap it and it maybe opens a raffle, and maybe you can participate in a raffle and win a 1 year's consumption of Nutella glasses, 1,000 kilos or whatever. So if your family is very hungry and your kids love it, that would be a nice thing to do. So you could even use these digital identities to get into interaction with your potential customer. Of course, it doesn't have to be a grocery product. It could also be an industry product. Imagine there is this huge company in the north of Europe, blue buildings with yellow letters. All of us have bought furniture there some point in our lives. And then you choose them in the showroom, then you take it from the shelves, it's packed in cardboard, and always inside, hopefully, there's a white piece of paper telling you how to assemble the product. What if this box would have a digital identity? And instead of trying to understand what somebody who has never assembled that shelf, but has written the assembly instruction, what if instead of that, it wasn't in there, you just tap the product, and then all of a sudden a video opens on your tablet, for example, and you have a video that guides you through assembling that shelf. Instead of trying to figure out these 5 pages of something at the end of which always you have screws over, something is, not working. Just as an idea. So basically that platform unlocks the power of connected products by assigning unique digital IDs to everyday items, providing unparalleled end-to-end traceability and transparency, by enabling access to an ecosystem of applications, either on our platform or of your own or any that you use, designed for tracking, storing, and managing all the events associated with that individual product, all the way from the source, the manufacturer, and beyond. And as I mentioned, potentially enabling circularity by helping you to reduce waste. So as we speak, actually, we have more than 22 billion physical items on that cloud. And while I was talking, roughly 300 new items per second were added to that cloud, meaning something like roughly 500,000 per hour. And we have a network of 5,000 individuals all over the planet that are supporting this application, are supporting the setup, and helping your customers to actually navigate, use, and manage the product. As I told you, we're totally agnostic. We don't care what industry we're talking about. We don't care what the item is. We just care about it being paired with a physical trigger, a digital trigger, and make sure that it will be loaded onto the platform with the necessary data that you have assigned to that digital trigger, whether it's production data, whether it's lifetime data, whether it's transportation data, whatever you want to assign to it. Interesting to know that it fulfills the GS1 standards, also the EPCIS 2 standards, even though for the EPCIS 2, I have to admit it complies with the standards, but the certificate is yet to come. So the certification has not been given to us yet, but for EPCIS, it is there. So this is basically about making sure that custom data access rights are being shared only with those individuals that should be getting the information instead of it being open to everyone, which could cause some issues, of course. So, how much time do I have? I'm good, because this is my last slide. So, in a nutshell, Atma.io is basically a product cloud, a platform that unlocks the power of connected products, so physical item being married with a digital trigger, with a unique digital ID for everyday items, giving you the opportunity to provide unparalleled end-to-end transparency in tracking, for example, storing and managing the products, and the events associated with the product, all the way from the source to the consumer and beyond, and potentially giving you the option to also start venturing into circular economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you.